Have you ever felt that in the midst of life's most chaotic moments, a single heartbeat could change everything? In those fleeting seconds when the world seems to pause, when every emotion converges in a powerful burst of clarity and vulnerability, we discover profound beauty of connection. Imagine standing at the edge of a storm, the rain echoing the rhythm of your pulse, as you brace for a twist of fate that promises not only heartbreak, but the birth of hope. This is a call to remember that even in the harsh winds of uncertainty, our deepest challenges can ignite a flame of transformation. As our gaze shifts toward a vibrant city pulsing with life and hidden narratives, we invite you to journey alongside two souls, Stevie Marquez and Willow Winters, who, through a serendipitous encounter on a rain-soaked evening, discover that the most unexpected accidents often carry the seeds of renewal. What if that seemingly insignificant moment, like a spilled coffee or a shared glance, with a very catalyst for a future filled with passion, innovation, and the courage to rebuild our worlds? Let your heart wander into the depths of a story where art meets science, where tradition embraces modernity, and where every setback is a prelude to an extraordinary breakthrough. Step into a narrative rich with emotion and discover how the quiet collision of two lives can illuminate the path to a brighter, interconnected future. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to Heartbeat Narratives, your ultimate destination for all things romances, connection, and heartfelt stories. I'm thrilled to have you here, sharing this amazing journey of exploring love in all its beautiful, complex, and magical forms. Whether you're a hopeless romantic, someone searching for relationship insights, or just love diving into heartwarming content, you're exactly where you need to be. If you enjoy what you see, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could hit that subscribe button to stay connected with our Heartbeat Narratives community. Drop a like to show some love, support, and motivation. Share this video with someone who might need a little romance in their life. Your support means a world to me and helps us continue creating content that celebrates love, connection, and the beautiful stories that bring us together. The city pulsed with life in every corner, a dazzling montage of neon lights, timeless traditions, and vibrant neighborhoods that each told its own unique story. Within the bustling metropolis, where towering glass skyscrapers met centuries-old brick buildings, the coexistence of cultures was not only evident in the architecture or cuisine, but was woven into the very fabric of daily existence. Stevie Marquez knew the city better than most. Born into a multicultural family, his early memories were painted with the smells of freshly baked arepas and the sounds of traditional ballads intermingling with modern rock. His father, a dedicated craftsman in wood, and his mother, a storyteller and community organizer, had taught him to see art in everyday moments. These lessons, combined with his formal training in architecture, lent his designs an unmistakable blend of sustainability and cultural narrative. Every project Stevie undertook was more than just concrete and steel. It was an homage to a richly diverse heritage and a promise of community revitalization. Across town, in an elegant but understated laboratory nestled against a quieter part of the city, Willow Winters chased breakthroughs that could alter the course of medicine. Raised in a lineage steeped in scientific inquiry, Willow's childhood was filled with experiments in the family kitchen and evenings spent discussing theories with her parents, renowned medical researchers who had dedicated their lives to finding cures for rare diseases. Their legacy was both a privilege and charge, and Willow embraced it with fervor. Each day at the lab, amid microscopes and research papers, she dreamed of creating a ripple that could one day reverberate through generations of patients waiting for hope. Though their worlds appeared distinct, a realm of creative design on one side and a sphere of clinical and research precision on the other, both shared an unyielding commitment to making a difference. Their individual pursuits, though differing in medium and method, both centered on capturing the essence of life and its complexity. The city had long been a proving ground for aspirations, a place where differences converge in unexpected harmonies, sometimes even before the first raindrop fell or the stage lights came on. Stevie's passion for sustainable design was not merely an aesthetic choice, but an ethical pursuit that questioned the status quo. His visions were inspired by nature, soft curves that mimicked the flow of rivers, open spaces that summoned the warmth of a communal hearth, and sustainable materials that spoke of responsibility toward the environment. He believed that architecture, when done right, could be a catalyst for healing urban spaces and, metaphorically, the souls of its inhabitants. Willow's experiments, carried out in the sterile hush of the lab, were a counterpoint to the creative chaos of the city streets. Each discovery was a step toward a future where diseases could be understood at their very genetic roots and, ultimately, conquered. Although her days were filled with meticulous detail and long hours of analysis, Willow always held on to a sense of wonder, the idea that science was a creative endeavor that, like a work of art, demanded intuition and heart. In the city of endless expressions, where cultures intertwined and dreams dare to take flight, the stage was set for two lives to intersect. Neither knew that on one stormy, serendipitous evening their journeys would collide in a way that would rewrite not only their own narratives, but also the story of the communities they so passionately served. Their paths were destined to converge in a moment that would stir the air with the promise of innovation, healing, and the unspoken magic of connection. It was a typical autumn evening cloaked in a relentless downpour. The city's sidewalks became rivers, and neon reflections danced on puddles as rain cascaded in silvery streams. Stevenson had been caught in one such cascade after a long day scrutinizing blueprints at a local firm. Seeking refuge from the storm, he hurried toward the comforting glow of a small, time-worn bookstore that he often passed on his way home. The bookstore, Café and Quill, was known among locals not only for its rare books and vintage prints, but also for the occasional literary gatherings that united the city's diverse voices. Inside, the air was punctuated by the soft murmur of quiet conversation and the calming scent of old paper mingled with freshly brewed coffee. Shelves arranged in haphazard, artistic stacks provided both refuge and a kind of nostalgic charm, a stark contrast to the relentless aggression of the rain outside. Stevie's entrance did not go unnoticed. His damp coat and hurried smile disrupted the tranquil sanctuary. As he navigated the narrow aisles, absorbed in his own thoughts of designs yet to be perfected, fate orchestrated an unexpected twist. At the rear of the room, amidst a discussion on contemporary literary works, Willow Winters was deeply engaged with a group of enthusiasts. Her presence radiated an understated elegance, and even in the midst of scholarly debate, her eyes sparkled with curiosity and a quiet determination to understand human narratives from scientific and philosophical perspectives. Engrossed in a particularly striking passage of a novel, Willow had meticulously taken notes, her pen dancing across the paper as she connected literature to the human condition. As Stevie rounded a corner, the world narrowed to a single, swift moment. In that instant, the inevitable collision occurred. A misstep, a collision trajectories. Stevie's arm swung abruptly, and with a clatter, his travel mug of coffee found its unintended destination. The hot beverage spattered across the spread of Willow's carefully curated notes. Time seemed to suspend. The world held its breath for a heartbeat as both stood in a tableau of shock and regret. "Oh, my goodness! I'm so sorry," Stevie blurted, his voice a mingling of genuine remorse and embarrassment. His eyes locked onto Willow's, searching for forgiveness amidst the chaos of scattered papers and dark coffee stains marring delicate ink. Willow, momentarily stunned, slowly regained her composure. Her initial irritation melted away under the sincerity in his eyes and the awkward vulnerability he displayed. "It's all right," she said softly, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear as she surveyed the damage. The tone in her voice was gentle, a calm amidst a storm of spilled coffee and disrupted thoughts. Stevie immediately offered assistance. "Let me help you clean this up. I can buy you another drink. Whatever you prefer," he offered, genuine in his desire to make amends. As he spoke, his mind raced, not just with apologies, but with an emerging curiosity about the intricate scribbles on her notes. What had she been reading? What ideas danced between her lines? Grateful for his concern and sensing the earnestness behind his clumsy haste, Willow accepted his gesture. The two moved toward the small counter where a barista, accustomed to quiet theatrics, offered a sympathetic smile. Over a fresh cup of coffee, they settled at a tucked-away table, its surface smudged with memories of past patrons and conversations. Between sips of warm coffee and tentative smiles, conversation blossomed organically. Stevie recounted his passion for architecture and the unique influences that shaped his designs, the vibrant cultural heritage embedded in every project he pursued. He spoke passionately about sustainable designs that sought not only to beautify the urban landscape, but also to inspire community and resilience. With every word, his eyes sparkled as he recounted personal experiences in neighborhoods alive with music, color, and dance. In turn, Willow explained her work in medical research with a clarity that belied the complexity of her studies. Her voice carried both the weight of responsibility and the lightness of discovery. She described the intricate journey of studying rare diseases and the relentless pursuit of answers that often felt like deciphering the most profound mysteries of life. At times, her tone softened as she recalled evenings spent discussing theories with her parents, memories etched with nostalgia and scientific wonder. Their dialogue, once marred by the awkwardness of spilled drink, soon evolved into a sincere exchange of dreams, ambitions, and subtle philosophies. They discovered that both in their own ways were striving to build bridges, Stevie through physical structures and community spaces, and Willow through scientific breakthroughs that could someday heal lives. In that moment, the bookstore's quiet ambience became the backdrop to a burgeoning connection that transcended the mundane accident that had brought them together. As the evening unfolded, the chatter of other patrons faded into the background. For Stevie and Willow, every word exchange was a step toward new horizons. Their conversation touched upon art, nature, scientific metaphors, and even the unpredictable nature of fate itself. There was an unspoken acknowledgement that chance had allowed these two divergent souls to meet and, in doing so, reveal a shared vision for a future where creativity and science intermingled seamlessly. At the end of the evening, as the rain softened into a gentle drizzle outside, they exchanged numbers with promises of future meetings, leaving the bookstore with a vague yet persistent hope that this chance encounter was simply the prologue to something much greater. Neither could have predicted the transformative journey that lay ahead, one where their passions would reinforce one another and their professional boundaries would blur in pursuit of a shared dream. In the weeks that followed, the memory of that rain-drenched encounter lingered like a cherished bookmark in each of their daily lives. Stevie found himself frequently recalling Willow's insightful comments and the soft determination in her eyes, while Willow couldn't shake the image of a man whose enthusiasm for sustainable design resonated deeply with her own quest for breakthroughs in medicine. Their first conversation had, in its simplicity, revealed profound parallels. Both were driven by a desire to impact the world positively, and both recognized beauty in the interplay of innovation and tradition. Their subsequent meetings took place in quaint coffee shops bathed in the golden hue of early mornings and the quiet intimacy of late evenings. In these moments, walls fell away, and the layers of professional titles and personal reservations were stripped away. They discussed projects, challenges, and the nuanced interplay between art and science. Stevie described projects that weren't just structures, but living, breathing ecosystems, spaces that connected nature and community. Willow detailed her research ambitions and the long nights filled with trials, errors, and eventual small victories that steadily fueled her journey toward medical breakthroughs. One rainy Sunday, as the city embraced a slower rhythm, the pair found themselves deep in dialogue at a quiet cafe in a forgotten corner of the Arts District. Stevie spoke of a new community center he had been commissioned to design, a building that would function not merely as an edifice, but as a hub for shared stories, music, and art. He described his dream in vivid detail, a space that integrated solar panels hidden among lush vertical gardens, ambient natural light channeled through strategically placed skylights, and a facade that paid homage to the city's cultural mosaic. His vision was not just to design a building, but to create an experience that nurtured both the spirit and the community. Willow listened intently as she sipped her herbal tea, her analytical mind already drawing parallels between the tangible results of Stevie's work and the intangible breakthroughs in her own field. She shared the narrative of her current research project, a long-term study focusing on an obscure genetic disorder that had confounded experts for years. Her project was a labor of love, one where each minute experiment, every painstaking piece of data, carried the promise of a future where such afflictions could be overcome. She explained the challenges of balancing data with empathy, of negotiating funding constraints with limitless aspiration. Their conversations often meandered through unexpected territories. They discussed literature and philosophy, art and ethics, even the symbolism embedded in the modern urban landscape. Each discussion felt like an invitation, a subtle push to step beyond the familiar borders of their disciplines, to explore the potentials hidden in collaborative innovation. It was through these convergences that they began to see the world not as segregated domains of creativity and logic, but as a single, intricately woven tapestry where every thread had its own significance. In sharing their dreams, they unearthed a mutual belief that the divisions of modern disciplines were mere constructs, and true progress could be achieved only when diverse perspectives were allowed to merge. As they planned new outings, from gallery openings to science symposiums, their relationship evolved from casual curiosity into a deep, unshakable trust. They recognized that while their work was defined by meticulous research and disciplined craft, it was their shared vision and mutual encouragement that kindled a spark of creative revolution in both their lives. The intimacy of these coffee conversations soon surpassed the boundaries of mere professional admiration. They became a refuge from a world that often demanded conformity and sacrifice, a place where vulnerability was celebrated rather than hidden. Each meeting was not simply about discussing ideas. It was about reaffirming the belief that together they could build a bridge between two very different ways of interpreting the world. Their dialogue became the cornerstone upon which both envisioned a future full of possibility, a future where ideas flowed freely from the confluence of art and science, where each challenge was met not as an individual problem, but as a shared opportunity to grow, innovate, and inspire. As summer's haze began to relinquish its hold on the city, Stevie invited Willow to experience a celebration that lay at the heart of his childhood, the annual Festival of Many Lights in his vibrant neighborhood. This festival was more than a parade of music and dance. It was a living mosaic of tradition, ancestry, and the melding of generations. Streets came alive with sizzling aromas of street food, the pulse of indigenous music interwoven with modern beats, and the sparkle of lanterns that transformed the night into a canvas of shared history and boundless dreams. Under the velvety twilight sky, the festival burst forth in a dazzling array of colors and sounds. Stevie led Willow through the maze of stalls, where each vendor proudly displayed artisanal crafts passed down through generations. Here, the language of culture was spoken fluently in every dish and every handmade artifact. Willow's eyes were wide with wonder, not just at the visual spectacle, but at the intangible warmth that connected each participant. Here, traditions were not relics of the past, but lively expressions of identity that embraced both memory and innovation. Throughout the evening, Stevie narrated the historical significance of every ritual and symbol. He explained the meaning behind the intricate patterns of the textiles, the importance of ancestral rituals performed in synchrony with modern expressions of art, and how each song carried the echo of a rich cultural legacy. His words transformed the ordinary into the extraordinary. The crowd, the music, and the very air seemed alive with possibility. For Stevie, this festival was the embodiment of his architectural philosophy. Structures designed not just to function, but to celebrate the spirit and legacy of a community. Willow, absorbing every detail, began to see subtle parallels with her work. Just as the festival was an interplay of old and new, her research required blending established scientific principles with novel, sometimes unconventional approaches. Each tradition held within it a lesson on adaptation, resilience, and the beauty of embracing change. As the night unfolded, she found herself offering observations and connections that even Stevie hadn't considered. Their conversation wandered easily from the symbolism of the festival's lanterns to the metaphorical light of scientific discovery, a light that could illuminate even the darkest of genetic mysteries. As the festival reached its zenith, a spontaneous performance drew the crowd into a hypnotic celebration of dance and collective memory. Drummers and flutists led a procession, while dancers adorned in culturally significant attire moved with a graceful synchronicity that seemed to bridge centuries. Here, in this whirlwind of communal energy, Stevie and Willow found themselves drawn closer together. In the shared joy of the moment, where every smile, every fleeting touch, and every whisper exchange carried meaning, they discovered the secret of true collaboration. It wasn't just about sharing an interest. It was about recognizing that each lived story, each cultural nuance, enriched the other's vision in ways that transcended the boundaries of their chosen fields. Before the night was through, as the final notes of the last song faded into the starry sky, Willow confided in Stevie her desire to channel some of this cultural vitality into her work. I've spent so much of my life in data and laboratory walls, she admitted softly, and tonight I saw a world where every ritual and every song was a story of resilience. I want to bring that perspective into my research, maybe even find inspiration for better understanding the human side of our challenges. Stevie's eyes shone with understanding. That's exactly it, he replied. We're both searching for beauty in our own ways, whether it's the warmth of community gathering or the cold logic of scientific discovery. And sometimes it's by merging these worlds that we find the greatest breakthroughs. In that incandescent moment, amid the laughter and music of community in full bloom, their shared journey of growth became undeniable. The festival was not just a cultural celebration. It was a turning point. It was where vibrant colors and rhythmic beats forged an unspoken pact between art and science, transforming them into allies in a quest for a richer, more vibrant understanding of the world. In the months that followed the festival, the threads of connection between Stevie and Willow wove ever more tightly into the fabric of their daily lives. Each challenge at work, every setback that threatened to derail their projects, was met with the comforting knowledge of a supportive partner, a mutual belief that the blending of their distinct worlds could create something far greater than the sum of its parts. For Stevie, this period was one of intense creativity and innovation. A major commission had landed on his desk, a new community center in a historically underserved neighborhood. The project, with its ambitious mandate for sustainability and community engagement, was a challenge that demanded not only technical prowess, but also cultural sensitivity. In the early stages of planning, he found himself revisiting old memories, drawing inspiration from his childhood and the timeless traditions of his heritage. Yet, as he integrated bold new ideas into designs, unforeseen logistical issues began to surface. Construction delays, budgetary constraints, and the weight of public expectation converged into a storm of complications. During one particularly long evening at his studio, papers strewn about, sketches pinned to walls, and prototypes of green energy models scattered across tables, Stevie felt a familiar tremor of doubt. Overwhelmed by the obstacles, he reached for his phone and called Willow. On the other end of the line, she immediately sensed a tremor underlying his calm voice. "I'm stuck," he confessed. "I'm not sure if I can bring this vision to life with all these limitations." Willow listened patiently before offering her perspective. "Sometimes," she said gently, "the breakthrough isn't about overcoming every obstacle immediately, but about trusting that every challenge is a chance to innovate. Remember our conversation at the cafe? Your designs are an extension of your story, a story where every curve and corner honors a community." Inspired by her words, Stevie revisited his blueprints with renewed determination. He began to experiment with adaptable designs, structures that could evolve with the needs of community, rather than remain static monuments. His creations took on a dynamic quality, one that resonated with the organic rhythms of the neighborhood. With each redesign, he felt the spark of innovation growing stronger, emboldened by Willow's steady belief in his vision. Across town, Willow found herself facing challenges of her own. Her latest research project, a long and arduous investigation into the genetic markers of a rare and particularly aggressive disease, hit several unexpected snags. The data, rather than clarifying, seemed to compound her questions with even more layers of complexity. The long nights in the lab became a solitary struggle, filled with moments of frustration, where pursuit of clarity felt more like chasing shadows. One day, as the weight of these setbacks bore down on her, Willow reflected on the lessons imparted by the festival and the many hours spent discussing life with Stevie. She realized that just as a designer reimagined structures to better serve their community, a researcher must also reframe failures as opportunities for growth. With a fresh perspective, she reanalyzed her data, embracing each dead end as a stepping stone rather than a verdict. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge, an intricate web of biological signals that hinted at a potential pathway to treatment. That single insight, born out of persistence and a willingness to see beyond the obvious, sparked a breakthrough that promised not only to advance her research, but also to offer hope to countless patients waiting in the wings. Their separate triumphs, though achieved in different realms, resonated as parts of a broader narrative, a story of two individuals united by their passion and the unyielding belief that innovation thrives at the intersections of art and science. Every conversation, Every shared moment over coffee or a quiet phone call in the early hours reinforced their commitment to embrace challenges as opportunities. They learned to celebrate not only the breakthroughs, but also the process, finding beauty in the struggle and meaning in every small success. By transforming obstacles into catalysts for creativity, both Stevie and Willow discovered that true progress was rooted in collaboration and a shared willingness to evolve. Their journeys, though marked by distinct experiences of growth, converge on a single truth: that the unification of diverse perspectives had the power to reshape not only their individual paths, but also the communities and lives they touched. Years later, the city still whispered the tale of the rainy night when two seemingly disparate souls had collided and, in that collision, sparked a revolution of creativity and compassion. The community center that Stevie had designed had become a beacon of hope, a vibrant space where citizens gather to share their stories, learn from one another, and celebrate a heritage that thrived on resilience and renewal. Its architecture, a living testament to the power of sustainable design fused with cultural vibrancy, stood as a model for future projects across the region. It was a place where children learned about the past through interactive exhibits, and adults marveled at the ingenuity behind every eco-friendly innovation. In the hallowed halls of a bustling research institute, Willow's contributions had taken on a life of their own. Her groundbreaking discoveries in the realm of rare diseases had not only pushed the frontiers of medicine, but had also redefined patient care by fostering an approach that valued the uniqueness of every human story. Colleagues, inspired by her determination, now spoke of the winter's effect, a paradigm shift toward a more empathetic, holistic approach to scientific inquiry. At the center of these transformative changes were the quiet moments of reflection shared between Stevie and Willow. They spent many evenings walking along the riverfront, where the city's skyline shimmered in the soft glow of twilight. Their conversation spanned the spectrum of human experience, from the technical minutiae of sustainable materials to the elusive poetry found within the genetic code of life. It was in these quiet moments that they found solace and reaffirmation that their journey, though paved with hardships and uncertainties, had indeed been worth every step. Together, they continued to inspire others to see beyond conventional boundaries of their fields. Stevie's designs began to incorporate biointegrative elements that not only honored natural ecosystems, but also provided spaces for communal healing and learning. Willow, in turn, collaborated with other researchers and policymakers to develop initiatives that highlighted the role of creativity in scientific advancement, a collaboration that bridged the gap between art and data, emotion and evidence. Their love story, one born from a fortuitous mistake on a stormy night, had evolved into a legacy that touched countless lives. It was not a tale of grand gestures or theatrical climaxes. Rather, it was built on the subtle, everyday decisions to trust in one's vision, to accept help, and to embrace the unpredictable beauty of change. It was a story that demonstrated how embracing vulnerability and combining strengths could lead to solutions that were as imaginative as they were effective. In the end, their intertwined lives became a living testament to the beauty of blending different worlds. Their story, a harmonious symphony of art, science, passion, and perseverance, echoed in the heart of the city, inspiring every soul that believed in the transformative power of shared light.